The challenge of merging organizations. Historically, 60 to 75% of mergers fail. There are a large number of reasons they fail, or fail to live up to expectations. One of the most often cited problems companies face with merger begins with poor due diligence. This leads to overpayment, unforeseen but predictable events happening in the near term, and unrealistic expectations in the long term. Habir Singh, who has done extensive research on mergers, says that the crucial distinguishing factor between success and failure in a merger is a sense of objectivity on the part of the executives, a realistic outlook that needs to be maintained from the initial transaction through the entire integration process. The danger, it seems, is when executives fall in love with the idea of the acquisition, wanting it to work no matter what the cost. When the most exhaustive of due diligence is done, and a well-informed decision is made to go ahead with a merger or acquisition, the next hurdle that is presented is culture clash, impacting integration. This integration is a key to success and is often undermined. It must be done as seamlessly to the customers as possible, while moving as efficiently as possible. Ultimately, mergers can be difficult because they require two distinct skill sets to make them successful. The first is determining the appropriateness and business sense to go ahead with a merger, and the second is the skills to get it implemented in an efficient and effective way while keeping your great employees and paying even more attention to the customer and other key stakeholders. According to McKinsey & Company, the key actionable items for executives embarking on a successful merger include: identify the top team, building a template for all other teams, fashion its membership with the skills that will be needed to assure success, name the participants in it, and get them working together prior to the close of the merger. Communicate the merger goals in the broader context of the organization's strategic goals. This will help each employee continue to identify what they do that will support the merger. Prior to the actual merger date, identify the culture that will lead to the greatest performance and immediately begin to reward those who exhibit those cultural norms. Communicate expectations clearly. It can be particularly dangerous to let them get, quote, worked out. They will not, and will disrupt the provision of your product or service. Identify those external stakeholder groups who have a significant stake in the merger, communicate to them, and identify an organizational champion for them, assuring their concerns are heard. These significant stakeholders can derail the process otherwise. Early on, identify critical teams, get them working together on implementation. Most often at this level, bringing in an outside consultant is most beneficial to keep things moving in a more neutral atmosphere. Early on, identify a win that is only possible because of the merger and get a group of your employees working on that. Gaining a significant win at the beginning of a merger will go a long way to justifying the merger and its risks in the eyes of all stakeholders and smooth the path for integration. As a leader in a growing sector, how can you take advantage of this knowledge to enhance the performance of your company or organization, and specifically those you lead? How can you identify where your skills will support a successful merger and where you will need to look to your team for support and stepped-up leadership? Start by determining your general decision-making and behavioral styles and linking your strengths to the strengths needed before and during a merger or acquisition. Do the same for your team. Then consider taking a more detailed and validated profile that will give you more information about your own unique communication and behavioral styles, and consider having your leadership team take them as well. Integrate the specific information in with the more general. Build teams that will assess the possibility for mergers and then lead the integration for your company. When you decide to go ahead, have the corporate leaders of the other company do the same before you actually merge the companies. This will put you on the path to success. There are a number of profiles in the market that will allow you to measure your capacities relative to strategy, communication, decision-making, and implementation. We've used many of them and have identified and recommend one that is particularly relevant to organizations in determining their assets leading into a merger. If you are a company leader and you're interested in behaviors that will help support your company's success and growth during mergers or acquisitions, click on the link below the video or copy and paste it into your browser to take a free copy of the profile that we most often recommend.